to introduce here Russian nuclear technologies in nuclear energy. And this is not only regarding, for example, power plants, because nuclear could be useful in quite many different fields, like nuclear for food, nuclear for health. So it's huge potential also here, and I really can say that Russia has a very big experience in this field. All the technologies that we propose to Indonesia, we already use. It means that it's safe, it's cheap, and this is very efficient. It's BRICS, which is, by the way, since the beginning of this month, it's not consist of 10 countries, but of 11 countries, and the newcomer is Indonesia. And we are very glad that Indonesia joined this group of countries that really try to promote a more democratic and fair world.
Your Excellency Ambassador Sergei Tolchenov, welcome to our Good Talk special interview today. Could you please start by sharing a brief background about yourself, including your diplomatic experiences, particularly your tenure as ambassador to Indonesia since May 2024, and your vision for strengthening Russia-Indonesia partnership in the future?
Thank you very much. First of all, it's really my pleasure to be here with your team and your audience. About me and my story, I have been graduated from Moscow University for Foreign Relations in 1988. And since then, so it means that soon it will be almost 40 years. I staff of Russian diplomatic service of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I spent all my career here in Southeast Asia, mostly in Indochina. But since 2008. I am here in Indonesia. For the first time, I came in 2008 and stayed as Vakil Dubes, deputy head of the mission, for 5 years. And this time I came as ambassador already in June this last year. And I find out that I still feel very comfortable here in this city, in this country. I still have some old friends in local Kemlu and different universities, different part of Jakarta. And regarding our bilateral relations, I still believe that they are developing very steadily, and we have a very good prospects for the future in different fields. We have a very good political relations, and I hope under the presidency of Pak Prabowo Subianto, President of Republic of Indonesia, these contacts and dialogue will be developed. We're still looking for some possibilities to increase our cooperation and trade, economic and investment fields. And we're also very active in promoting our bilateral ties in what we call humanitarian exchanges, educational, youth exchanges. So we are ready to work in different directions, and what is much more important, we feel same desire from the Indonesian side. That's why I really believe that we have very good prospects in the future.
Interesting. And as we know that Russia and the Soviet Union then played a crucial role in supporting Indonesia's struggle for independence. And we are deeply grateful for the historical support, of course. And building on that foundation, could you tell me how Russians today view Indonesia and its culture and its position on the world stage?
Well, we are very also thankful for these sentiments that we still feel from our Indonesian friends and partners. And that's why we still believe that Indonesia is one of our priorities here in Southeast Asia. And we would like to promote our bilateral relations, not only bilaterally, but also as because Indonesia it's a member of quite many different multilateral, global, international organizations and also regional organizations like, of course, UN, G20, ASEAN, and so on, so on. And we've got a lot of things to do together, even in international and regional arena. And we really believe that Indonesia is very important player in this international area because it's country with a huge population, with a very big potential regarding economy. I know about the plans of President of Indonesia to bring in 2045, if I'm not mistaken, Indonesia in golden era, and to make Indonesia a developed country. So I believe we can share with our Indonesian friends some experience, some technology, some knowledge from my country, and I believe we can make this way together.
Yeah. So talking about your post in Jakarta, and this is your second post, you must have personal sentiment about the city or about the country. So what do you enjoy most about living in Jakarta or in Indonesia in general? And what's your favorite Indonesian dish, the food or dessert? And have you learned any Indonesian phrases and catchwords or catchphrase?
Regarding my personal sentiments toward Jakarta in Indonesia, I've got one very positive. I already mentioned it several times and told to some of my friends that my younger son was born here in Jakarta 15 years ago, and now he came with me to this city, and when I knew about the decision to send me as ambassador to Indonesia, I told him, boy, you will go back to the place when you have been born a long time ago. And this is very, very warm sentiment somewhere inside me. Regarding other sentiments regarding Jakarta, there are mixture. There are some positive because it's a very nice, very beautiful city, very friendly people here, and interesting and very big city, by the way. So it's you should spend quite many years to visit it, all the places from Depok to Bekasi and to Tangerang and Bogor, even in Jakarta. But of course there are some maybe not that good, that traffic jams here. But I believe it's not only for Jakarta. Of course, every big city, every big capital, including Moscow sometimes, we've got such problems with transportation and so on. But I saw that local authorities also try to do a lot of things, even around my embassy in Rasuna Said Street. Last year, local authorities made new pavements, new roads, so it's also became a very beautiful, nice place when we also can walk around and spend some time there. So in general, it's a normal life of diplomat in a foreign country, and of course Indonesian cuisine, and another one interesting story. And of course I cannot say that I try everything already, but some dishes that's very already familiar for me, like soup buntut, I like it very much, nasi goreng, of course. And if regarding desserts, so maybe it's fried bananas. It's also very tasty, and I try to eat it when I eat somewhere in the city. So it's a good place. Of course, life of diplomats, it's not only enjoy the place when we've got a lot of things to do, but it's a place when you can live, when you can work, and I love to be here, really.
Thank you. And talking about the favorite dishes. Now let's move to the cultural exchange. We've seen growing interest in Indonesian communities and generally Southeast Asian culture in Russia. There are specific art forms like cinema or literature where you see potential for greater exchange or collaboration between Russia and Indonesia.
Yes, me too. I also noticed that in Indonesia there are big interest, big demand regarding Russian culture, and we are trying to somehow to mitigate it and to bring more Russian maybe artists to Indonesia, and we will use this year when we will celebrate 75th anniversary of our bilateral relations, and we would like to bring some maybe traditional Russian arts here to Indonesia with traditional dances, traditional songs, because this is very important for both countries. And I even know that here in Indonesia some people by the way, starting from your Minister of Culture, Mr. Fadlizon, who have been graduated from Universitas Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, and he studied their Russian literature and Russian culture also, and he knows some Russian songs, he can even sing it, and some other people here. So we are trying to do something here. Of course, it's maybe not our biggest task, but it's one of the direction when we are trying to promote Russia in Jakarta and Indonesia in general. And film festivals, film projection, it's also film shows, it's also one of the possibilities. And this, because it's much maybe easier, we are trying to do it even by the efforts of my embassy. From time to time we organize film shows and small maybe festivals in different directions here in Indonesia, including, by the way, these premises when we are sitting at this moment, what we call Russian House or Russian Center of Culture and Science. Sometimes in my residence, just a couple weeks ago, so we organized a show of the documentary film about Russian traditional wedding ceremonies in the National Library of Indonesia. And in beginning of February, we will show one film in Universitas Indonesia. It's about Russian history and Russian victory in the Great Patriotic War, what the rest of the world know, like Second World War. So there's different possibilities, and we've got different kind of films. For example, I also can mention that in BRIN, it's Badan Research and Innovation of Indonesia, we make a show film regarding Russian achievement in space exploration. It also was a documentary. So we've got many films, and we are ready to come everywhere and to make some small events with film about my country, culture, history, nowadays of my country. But we also have in plans maybe to make a kind of film festival with maybe even master classes with some maybe Russian artists coming to Indonesia and to have my kind of round tables, talks, and so on. But this is in our plans.
So the opportunities are out there, and so many. And beyond the economic and cultural ties and partnership, how can Russia and Indonesia strengthen cooperation in areas like education and technological exchange and people-to-people initiatives? And what concrete steps are being taken to achieve this?
Well, education it's very important, and both sides would like to promote exchanges in this field. Indonesia provides some scholarships to Russia, courses of Indonesian language and so on. And my country also, we trying to bring more foreign students to Russia. If saying in general, every year Russia provide more than 30,000 scholarships for foreigners. For Indonesia, at this moment, we provide 250. We're expecting to get it more, starting maybe even from this year, if we will have enough number of people who would like to come to Russia for studies. And I'm proud to say that we've got already more than 500 applications and requests for such scholarships. So that's why I hope we will manage to increase the number of Indonesian students in my country. And this means that these young Indonesians will learn modern science, modern technologies, get more modern knowledge, and they will be maybe not only like our, let's say, ambassadors here in Indonesia, but also people with specific knowledge that can contribute to development of national economy, national science, national educations here in Indonesia. So that's why I believe it will be one of the really topical issues for us in the future.
Yeah.
Well, regarding technologies, it's also a very interesting field, and really we are ready to promote Russian technologies in different directions and at different levels, starting from universities who are ready to introduce some modern Russian technologies here in Indonesia, or propose bilateral or joint research in different specific fields, or like, well, something very important, I believe, and this is a really big task and for me and for my embassy, for example, to introduce here Russian nuclear technologies in nuclear energy. And this is not only regarding, for example, power plants, because nuclear could be useful in quite many different fields, like nuclear for food, nuclear for health. So it's huge potential also here, and I really can say that Russia has a very big experience in this field. We use it, all the technologies that we propose to Indonesia, we already use. It means that it's safe, it's cheap, and this is very efficient. So if Indonesia will choose Russia like partnership in this field, so we will be very glad.
And now, considering the geographical location of Indonesia and Russia, we're talking about the regional security. How can Russia and Indonesia work together to ensure regional maritime security while respecting the diverse interests of all parties involved?
Well, I believe so. It could be done in different ways. First of all, of course, both countries, Indonesia and Russia, are well, important stakeholders in multilateral discussions regarding maritime security in the framework of ASEAN Plus, for example, and in the framework of some other multilateral regional fora. This is just like some political issues, strategic issues, how to ensure that interests of all the players are secured in this field. But from the other side, we've got some bilateral channels here, and just to exchange views on how to ensure maritime security, maybe to organize drills and exercises in maritime field between navies of two countries. It's also very important, and I believe you and everybody here in Indonesia already known that last year we organized first in the history large-scale maritime exercises in Java Sea with participation of Russian and Indonesian Navy and Russian Indonesian ships. And this event will be regular, and we will be ready to organize such exercises, bilateral exercises, here in Indonesian waters or in the waters of the Russian Federation, maybe somewhere in Far East.
Yeah.
And besides this, because it's not only bilateral, but it's also multilateral issue, we are ready, together with our Indonesian colleagues, participate in some multilateral events, like, for example, also exercises Komodo 2025 that will be held here in Indonesian archipelago waters February this year, so in just in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And given the current geopolitical tensions, how does Russia's historical experience and its vision of multipolar world shape its pursuit of new and fairer world order? And what are the key principles and potential challenges associated with this vision?
Well, I believe so. Russia, well, not only nowadays, when really geopolitical situation is very tensioned and turbulent, but for decades already we told that it should not be unipolar or bipolar world order, but it should be multipolar, because there are quite many big powers which with its own interest, and it should not be any kind of dictate or lecture from any one single country for the rest of the world. Every country is important, because sometimes from even here in Southeast Asia, I have heard from some countries, we are very small, nobody hears us. It's not true. Of course, regarding the size, maybe economic potential, it's different for every country. Maybe for someone is bigger, for someone smaller, but every country has its voice, and every country should be courage enough to make this voice louder and make this voice heard by the rest of the world or the rest of the region. And that's why we are very keen, and we try to promote this new, more democratic, fair, and maybe more just multipolar world order, together with our friends from what we call Global South or Global East. And one of such example, it's BRICS.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, since the beginning of this month, it's not consist of 10 countries, but of 11 countries, and the newcomer is Indonesia. And we are very glad that Indonesia joined this group of countries that really try to promote a more democratic and fair world. Not listening to dictate from any third party, but just looking for the national interests, for fair and mutually beneficial cooperation. And now I can say that Russia and Indonesia once again in the same boat, because I already mentioned that we are members of UN already, of G20, for example, of APEC, and quite many other multilateral fora, organizations, groups, associations. So it's another one very important, and we really believe that we will be able to promote not only our bilateral cooperation, but to promote this more fair and more democratic world together.
Interesting. And since you have mentioned BRICS partnership, which is very current affairs for our two countries, what specific mechanisms within the BRICS framework can be leveraged by Indonesia to enhance its trade, investments, and collaboration with other BRICS countries, especially with Russia?
Well, BRICS, it's like any organization, multilateral organizations. It's not only summits, not only meetings, but it's practical work in different fields. And BRICS, it's also not only regarding foreign policy or something else, security, but it's also some very practical things. It's economic cooperation. It's, for example, establishing new independent channels of transportation of goods, to establish independent structure of financial settlements and payments, because one of the problem of the modern world that some countries are trying to imply some illegal sanctions against sovereign states, blocking financial channels, blocking sometimes maritime roads, transportations. So it makes trouble for bilateral trade and payments. So in the framework of BRICS, we are trying to solve all these problems, but beyond this, there are also big plans for cooperation in fields of culture, science, technology, education, even sports and youth exchanges. So taking into account the potential of Indonesia, so I really believe it will be a very important player in any fields within the BRICS. And this is also, I believe, task of my country, because Russia is one of the BRICS founders, and we've got already big experience working within BRICS, especially when last year, for example, Russia was chairman of BRICS for 1 year. This year it's Brazil, chairman. But we are ready to share our experience with our Indonesian friends, to tell them frankly what is the BRICS about, what's mechanism, what fora, what's specific projects, programs within the BRICS, and ask Indonesia to be part of this group.
Thank you. And as we all know that we are now experiencing climate change in the past decades, and talking about environmental collaboration between the two countries, Russia has extensive experiences in areas like forestry management, water resource conservation, and the development of renewable energy sources, including the one that you mentioned, the nuclear and hydropower. And how can this expertise be applied to support Indonesia's national environmental goals, and particularly in achieving its emission reduction targets?
Well, I believe so. Here, yes, we also have a good, I believe, good experience in this field. And we are ready to share this experience with any country, including Indonesia, of course. But here, I believe it depends on requests from the Indonesian side. If Indonesia is interested in the collaboration in this field, we are ready. At this moment, I only heard about proposals from some maybe non-governmental organization, from some universities of Indonesia that would like to engage in bilateral programs of projects in this cutting green gas emission, climate change, and so on, so on. If there will be a topic in intergovernmental level, in inter two states, we are also ready. I just can say that can suggest the Indonesian relevant ministries and organizations to approach my embassy or to participate in some events in my country. We also have a lot of different events regarding these issues. So, and I hope that we will be able to engage in bilateral cooperation in this future.
And looking ahead 5 to 10 years, what is your most ambitious hope for the relationship between Russia and Indonesia during your leadership in the country? And what legacy would you like to leave as an ambassador?
Well, I would like, of course, to promote our bilateral relations to the new heights, to the new level. We are already on the way to discuss, and probably I really hope in the near future we will manage to promote our bilateral relations to strategic level, officially, maybe to signing or adopting a kind of declaration, because it means that really our bilateral relations are comprehensive, multifaceted, and so. But if I already said sometimes that we need some success stories in our bilateral relations.
Definitely.
So if we will manage to finalize and to put into practice some big projects regarding economy or trade, or maybe to bring trade to the level maybe double or triple current volume, or to make any kind of big projects, like, for example, now we are on the way to discuss, for example, a refinery here in East Java by companies of our two countries, or even to, for example, to construct here first nuclear power plant in Indonesia using Russian technologies. I will be very satisfied, and I will be really believe that of course it will be not only my success story. What all my predecessors already done, I am just a continuator of these efforts, but I will be very glad if there will be any other landmarks of our bilateral cooperation.
Sure. And now last question. Good News from Indonesia focuses on media and journalism partnership and community outreach, including the youth outreach development as a program that we have today. How can the Russian embassy partner with the Good News from Indonesia to tell the story of Russia and Indonesia cooperation in a way that resonates with young people of the two countries to promote mutual understanding and shared values?
From one point of view, my embassy, it's state institution, so it's not a media, but somehow we are trying to participate in the social life, in some social networks here in internet, and we've got our accounts. We're trying to distribute more information through these channels, and we are ready to cooperate in this field with any Indonesian media, newspapers, TV stations, social media, so like your Good News for Indonesia media. So we are open for everyone. If, of course, you know, I got not that big number of diplomats and only one press attaché who are doing all this job, but we are trying to maybe to link you with some Russian medias to establish bilateral channels of exchanging information. And I'm very glad to say that since last year we also got two Russian medias here in Indonesia who are also very keen to promote ties, to establish direct ties with Indonesian media, to exchange maybe topics, news, footage, films, or something else. And so I believe so by these joint efforts we will be able to make image of my country more presented in different sources of information in Indonesia, more positive, of course, and also to bring more information about Indonesia to Russia, because it's a big, very diverse country, very different from east to west, from Aceh to Papua, or from Merauke to Sabang,
Yes.
From Merauke to Sabang, and we also need more information about, because lack of information is also a big problem and big challenge for both of us. And without settling this issue, it will be more difficult for us to promote bilateral relations in other fields. This is like this.
Interesting. Ambassador Sergei Tolchenov, thank you so much for your time and your insightful thoughts and stories. We wish you all the best in your leadership as the ambassador to Indonesia in the next few years. And we hope that we can foster more partnerships in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's once again I can say that I'm very proud to say a few words about our bilateral relations, about my country, to the Indonesian audience, to audience of your media. And please keep me on your radars. I hope I will stay here for a while, and I will be ready to continue this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, Ambassador Sergei Tolchenov.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak.